Welcome to the first episode of What is Life About, where we're going to have an opportunity to talk about life as we see it and possibly, hopefully, how you all see it. Get a chance to reflect, talk about some things, discuss some things. Viewpoints. Good discussion is what we're looking for.
We're looking for.
Absolutely. I am Sananda Edwards, proud to be here with my guy,
Brandon Wiley.
All right.
Excellent.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, we're here to talk about legacy. We're here to talk about life. And we're here to talk about how different things can be foundational to our growth and to who we are. Some of those things include, we can be talking love.
We're talking about wonder.
We can be talking about hope.
Yeah.
Joy. yeah.
Joy.
You know what I mean? Wonder, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I think for our first discussion, for our first conversation, let's start with joy, brother. I think people can probably tell we are in the hallowed halls of Morgan State University.
Morgan State,
hold on.
MSU.
The Morgan State University,
yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Right? And it's cool to be here, just kind of looking around, taking in what this place has become.
Yeah, what is transpired into. This was higher education, matriculation for us, and now we're looking around like it's hardly recognizable.
It really is.
But it's
really
beautiful.
It is. It's changed, man.
Yeah.
It's changed. And interestingly enough, what that makes me think about, and it's really about what we're going to be digging into today, is joy. For me, when I think about joy, I think about it being kind of different from happiness, right? Like you have happy moments, you have these moments that bring happy feelings, happy thoughts. But for me, joy is deeper than that. It's deeper, bro. It's gotta be. For me,
it is.
It's deeper. It's deeper.
For me too. I think from a happiness perspective, happiness is like a quick feeling, an emotion that just happens.
Yes, sir.
I think joy, I associate that with a struggle. And when you get to the end of the struggle, there's joy.
Overcoming. When you overcome, that's good.
Just like being here at Morgan, all the things that got us here. And then graduation is joy.
We'll take it. Joy. We'll take it.
Joy.
100%. 100%. That's and for me, I think about it. Again, thinking about that journey, thinking about that, the way we went from high school, transitioned into college, and then being able to make that, like you said, that matriculation through college as young men, young adults, right? Fresh off of being 18 and then figuring out life and being able to maneuver through that and finding this consistent fabric of joy, right? And for me, like I said, it's deep, it's intrinsic, it's about consistency.
Yes.
It's about finding, even in the midst of the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations and all that stuff, finding this like common thread of, B, we doing this.
Yeah.
B, Wiley, we doing this, man. It's happening.
And then once we get to that point where we say, we put in all the work, we put in all the time,
we put in the play. We're fine.
Had a lot of play, It is what it is. We did those things, and then the outcomes is joy.
That's it.
These relationships that we have all the way from college, they're still here, and they're still real, and they still bring us joy every day. Cap Alpha Psi, being here, it was just like this process. I was just like, this is tough.
Yeah.
But when it was like, hey, you can put the red strings in your boots and you can mark across the bridge and you can probate, it was like joy. It was like a feeling like I never felt before. I was just super excited. I had accomplished this task and boom.
Yeah.
And the thing about joy is it doesn't expire. It doesn't go away. Joy is a part of life where you set a new goal. You set a new step in your life and you work again.
That's it.
And then you get the joy.
And it doesn't take away from what happened in the past. Like you still have those, you know what I mean? Like again, like I said, that common thread of joy. It's almost like stacking moments, stacking these moments, joy. But I love the way you say like, it's also about outcomes. It's also about the process, going through the journey, making sure that we're supporting one another through these journeys and finding the pockets of happiness, but those moments of joy. That common thread. I think about our graduation day. I remember. Look, I remember what is it? Was it the Kappa red sash? What
Yes.
was that? Was that the?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that. I think we still got that picture somewhere,
Yeah, we
buried
got that
somewhere,
picture somewhere, man.
And then being able to graduate, and of course, like me figuring out like this college thing in general, right?
Even from the basis.
Come on.
Because this wasn't, college wasn't, you said, I'm not going to college.
Wasn't an option.
That wasn't an option.
Right. Yes, sir.
And look at you, you know,
yes, sir.
in college,
Sir.
Graduated from college, doctor degree.
Sir.
You have all these degrees.
Working. Degrees. Right?
Degrees.
Even in undergrad.
Even in undergrad.
Doctor. It took you long enough.
It
took me long enough. Took me a long time. I was definitely a super duper senior here, which is how I got that doctorate, right? It's crazy. But again, it takes me back to joy. It takes me back to making myself proud, making you all proud as friends, you know what I mean, and family, and us being able to share that, and then being able to pour that into others, literally with the stuff we do, like coming out of Morgan. I remember working at the Afro. I worked at the mayor's office, and then I finally found my foothold in teaching. And now having a mental health organization where I'm still teaching, it's just in like a non-traditional way. And then you stacking joy, coming out of school, being able to go into those funeral services, but making sure that it's about the family.
Right.
And it's about bringing joy
To that moment.
Right,
because,
still,
you know, they, especially dealing with families, it's more or less like, you know, they coming in with grief.
Yeah.
They're coming in with pain. They're coming with family issues. All those things are compiling, but just that moment where they can see their loved one again and a full representation of who they are, you know, and they can walk in, they can see the visuals, they can see the physical, and then they can find joy.
Yes.
And then that joy just surpasses all understanding. Ain't that what it does?
It's real.
Yeah, it
It's real.
surpasses all understanding,
really
you know,
does.
because it imparts that peace inside of them.
That's it.
You know.
And people need that.
They need it.
Right? They need it in moments. They need it consistently. And I'm not saying that you have to have like these just overwhelming feelings all the time, because even that can be draining.
Yeah,
but when you
absolutely.
have these moments that you can look back on and really feel the joy and the presence, and that like I said, that depth of happiness, because that's what joy is to me. A few days ago, I had the pleasure of speaking at an event in collaboration with Baltimore's Promise, and man, I sat down with this gentleman. His name is Ray. I won't give his last name. His name is Ray. And we had a conversation that made me look at joy in a completely different way. So I'm not going to tell the entire conversation, but this is a man who is, from what he told me, toward the end of his battle with cancer in a good way. Right,
Okay.
he's gone through the radiation. He's going into therapy, physical therapy, to make sure he's okay. But he talked about how at first he didn't want to face what he had going on with regard to his battle with cancer.
Right.
What Ray was telling me that day, in a nutshell, was just, yes, I have this battle. Initially, I didn't want to accept the battle, but I took the challenge, and now I'm not exactly who I was, but I'm so happy for who I am today. You feel me? And to hear him talk about his life in terms of gratitude and joy.
Joy.
Being able to come out, he said, man, being able to come out today and just sit here and chop it up with you. And I don't share my story with too many people, but I felt compelled to just sit here and talk with you. And again, literally what he was pouring into me was joy, gratitude, understanding what life's about, understand that there are going to be challenges, understanding that through those challenges, the journey, the push is to get the journey to triumphs, right?
Right.
And understanding that triumphs don't all look the same for everybody, right? No. But it's triumph nonetheless. Yeah. And that's a huge, huge thing. And again, it just reminded me of finding joy in the battles. Finding joy in the battles.
Yeah, because you always have to find joy in the battle, because the battle's hard enough, you know, but to know that what you're doing, it may not feel like you're getting all of the the blessings out of it, but you got to keep on fighting.
That's it.
Like Ray said, you got to keep on fighting, you know, because you know what you want your outcome to be, but you have to fight to get there.
That's it.
You know, you got to keep one foot ahead of. Sometimes I bet Ray ain't want to get up and go.
Absolutely.
You know, but he got up and went.
Absolutely.
You know, and then to show up today to talk to you and to share with you, he imparted his story.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes I think we just have to be prepared to share our stories.
Yes, sir.
You know,
yes, sir.
if we share our stories, we don't know how much joy or how much energy we can give somebody else.
For sure.
So that we can push them towards their triumph, their joy.
Look, and what you're saying is actually very interesting, considering my book,
right.
The Extraordinary Mr. Nobody, right? Beginner's Guide to Self-Healing.
Yeah.
It talks about the journey. It talks about triumphs.
Right.
It talks about obstacles.
Yes.
But it's a platform for sharing my voice and encouraging others to share theirs.
Right.
Why? Because the stories are important, bro. The stories are important.
The stories make it feel real.
Real. That's it. Do you remember us spending time building above it all?
Yeah.
Right? An organization that, look, next year is our 10-year anniversary. Right?
10 years?
10 years, bro. We in there. 10 years. It's crazy, right? 10 years, right? But those beginning stages when we had to think on things and build on things and just kind of figure out exactly what type of organization we wanted to be, in my mind, as a representation of joy. You know what I mean? Yeah. I remember Pop calling us together and talking about like the different things that he was witnessing with regard to like grief and things like that in terms of the people coming into his funeral home, right? Y'all funeral home was a home base for us when we were children, and now it's one of those places where people come again to go through their grieving process. But for the story, I remember Pop saying, you know, you have these young folks coming in, basically celebrating the life of their friends.
Right.
So literally you have friends having funerals. So he talked about this one group of young people coming in, and then he sees that same group of young people coming in like a week later.
Right.
Then that same group of young people coming in a week later.
Right.
You're talking about loss. And out of that, Pop said, what y'all gonna do about it?
Right.
What are you all gonna do about it? How can you all try to pour into this Baltimore community and figure out a way to bring joy to the lives of many? So yeah, man, so it was like just Pop encouraging us to figure out ways where through the obstacles and the different things that people in general have to go through.
How can we work on improving these people's lives?
How can we improve their lives? Joy.
You know, joy.
How can we bring joy to them?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and you know, it's when you look at above it all and you look at the location of it, you know, those same group of kids was coming through that building.
Yes, sir.
You know, and then all of a sudden, one day, this building was shut down, and now the new purpose is to bring a whole new group of kids, but they're not coming for a funeral no more. Now they're coming for help. They're coming for afternoon school programs.
Yes,
they're coming for mental health.
That's it.
They're coming for mentoring.
Yes,
they're coming for therapy.
Yes,
they're coming for all of these things that they need because of the trauma that they have in their community.
100%.
You know,
100%.
and just being there and seeing them to go through the process and to see them grow and improve brings you joy.
It brings joy. It brings joy, man.
It brings
Outstanding.
joy.
And I love the fact, like you said, you got all these folks, these young people coming through, adults now coming through, but us being able to impart some joy and then send them back to their families. With, you know what I mean? With those jewels, those seeds that are necessary.
New outlooks, new perspectives.
New outlooks, new perspectives, man. So it's big. So, man, first I want to thank you for the time that you've given to this today, man. Like, it's important for us to have these kind of conversations.
Absolutely.
It's important for all of us to have these conversations. And again, we just want to try to, again, just kind of plant a seed for everybody to kind of go out, have these conversations, bring some joy to your life, bring some joy to the lives of others, because that's what's important. That's what's going to take us to another level of understanding, another level of healing, and another level of joy. So we appreciate y'all. Be on the lookout for those billboards on 83. You know what
Joy.
I mean? Make sure that you stick with us because we actually have a couple more episodes. We got a couple more episodes coming out.
It's not going to be our last one.
We want y'all in there. We want y'all tuned in
Absolutely.
with us, right? Because this is a collective. This is us. This is us doing this. So shouts to the Wiley Foundation, doing great things. And let's continue to bring the joy and the peace and keep it pushing.
Share some joy with somebody today.
Peace, y'all.